Hello, it's Collette from the Sacred Rose Temple. I was speaking on the current energies of this time and with particular reference to the inner child and doing inner child work on ourselves and feeling all this hurt that's been coming up and what that's been leading us to. But I also want to reflect on something to do with our mother and father wounds, because obviously the inner child wounding is all about the mother and father. It always relates back to that, about the fact that we might rebel to not be like them, we might come out the same as them, but whatever we try to run away from, the fact is we hold the imprints and the ways within us, some that we're conscious of and others that we are not conscious of, and therefore reject. And that's when they become shadow. We would deny that we're like that in any way. We would uh, run away from the fact we were like our father or like our mother because these are the things that hurt us. But the more we run away from something, the more likely we hold that in our behavior or in our psyche. And I've gone through healing with this with an analyst and within my Jungian work, in that I've had to face parts of myself I didn't want to face. I've had to share some things that I have not wanted to admit in the ways that I am like, or I am because of that. So that is somewhere else where we really need to visit at this moment in time. But more significantly, what's been coming up for me within the framework of working with women and, and with men, mostly with women. I'm more specialist on the feminine mystery. I think we understand women more as women and we understand men as men. I really, quite some time ago, was trained in the way of male sexuality, and it just doesn't feel right as a woman to teach men about their sexuality because that is not my bodily experience. So I moved away from that and prefer to work with the feminine purely from the fact that I am a woman, so I'm better embodied and more knowledgeable and can, guide from a lived experience. And the big thing that seems to be going on is the relationship with the mother, like addressing the mother wound, and how we might be with our mother if we're defending her and not able to go into that deeper pain that might have been caused in relationship to her, especially for somebody like me who has kind of a rejective mother wound, who isn't close to the mother, who doesn't seek any kind of companionship or support from the mother, and then from the other way where women really are very dependent on mother or father and that wound and what that causes. So either way that shows up in our relationship, whether we've got the rejecting, the distant mother, or whether we've got the mother who we say we're best friends with or really close with, and the same with the father, that has a dysfunctional kind of shadow on our relationships in general. And so I'll give you an example. Working with somebody who has a very, very close relationship to mother, who would deem her the best friend. Ceremonially, we are meant to move away from mother. There should be a ceremony within indigenous cultures. This happens where there is a cutting of the cord. It's a very old statement, like untying the apron strings. There needs to be some kind of untying, cutting ceremony. Now, this is not cutting out, this is cutting away from that relationship as it was. So I'm very aware of this now with my own son, who has just turned 18, that he has now turned into a young man. And I have to acknowledge and see him as that, and that our relationship has to change now. There is a change happening in that relationship. He's not my baby. I'm not his mummy. All this language is very, very detrimental to our relating. If we're still calling mummy and daddy and we're in our 40s, that's a big red flag. So our relationship can be close, but it shouldn't be encompassing and strangling. The mother shouldn't be in as a kind of, overpowering force. She shouldn't be the third one in a relationship. That's really detrimental. And also just the we need to realize where we are with them. Has there been a ceremonial aspect to our relationship where we've said, okay, it's time for me to step in to my own sovereignty? And that is the passageway from maiden to mother. And I know a lot of crones that didn't make that passageway. So maiden to mother means the cutting of the apron string from the mother and setting yourself up as an like a sovereign, solid pillar within your own right, financially, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, that you are a separate entity. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be loving and caring and supportive and the mother's part of your life, but there needs to be some kind of reflection on where that is disempowering you as a woman, where you're being disempowered, or if you're a man and you're still tightly connected to the mother, like where's the room for the wife or the partner? That comes up a lot in relationship. And also more to do with you know, someone like me who's the opposite of that, and then how I am with women and how difficult that is for me to like trust and not feel rejected. And in the space where I spent so many years trying to heal that, that became very toxic from my part in trying to heal it, because some things are not able to heal either. And we're pushing for something that the other person simply cannot give because of the state of their soul or their trauma or what they've been through in life. So there's much to consider, but consider we must. In what is our relationship, I found this in times where I have needed somebody that I shy away from needing people, that I just kind of solidly hold it on my own, and I will try to rock through the toughest times on my own. And really, at this point of my life, and quite recently, I'm trying to ask for support. I'm trying to reach out and say, do you know what? Like, I need a hug. You know what? I'm a sensitive, emotional person, and I don't need to be in my animus and have it and rock through it on my own. There is a support network there, and I choose the support network wisely, that they can hold the space, that they're at the same level of consciousness, that they've done some work on themselves. And that's very important for me. And then having, like, a therapist, I go see someone, and I've been working with a child therapist recently that's been working on with me on my inner child and trying to feel into those gaps and those wounds that were created through mother and father. And I think it's really important that we all do that if we want to see some bigger changes in our life with regards to our relationship. So if you feel that I've been working more with the embroiled woman, the woman that's stuck in maiden, and maybe that's because I transitioned into that mother energy very young, when I had to step in and look after myself quite young. So think about that in yourself. If you're embroiled with the mother or the father, and that's your go-to, that's your lean-to. So you come out of a relationship and the first thing you do is go live with mum or dad, and you're in your 50s, then that's not going to relieve you into a lean into yourself. It's going to create an anxious attachment just to another. For example, I did that with somebody this week. You're in an anxious attachment with your mother because you've just left your relationship, and then you're kind of looking for solstice, and you're looking for all of those things that you need to give yourself. You need to regulate yourself. You need to stand on your own 2 feet. You're not needing to depend on a man or your mother, but you are more than capable and strong enough to do that yourself. Doesn't mean that if we're in crisis that we don't ask for support. It's not the same, but we have to question ourselves. Actually, can I do this? Can I take that place on my own? Can I step into this on my own and just ask for a bit of love? So I think this is really important and showing itself. A lot of people have been asking me to work with them on this aspect, and within the Feminine Mystery School, that transition from maiden to mother. We're in a world that is stuck in maiden energy. There's so many maidens, and trauma really captures us within that younger energy of a woman. We're also in a world that wants us to like Botox and wants us to look young all the time, that's shit scared of menopause, that they don't see that as a rite of passage into power and real good, powerful transmission. It's all very detrimental, the aging cycle for women, and it's a powerless place to be if we believe all that hype. So we must transition. We must ceremonially transition from maiden to mother, and ask yourself, have you done that? As a celebrant, I hold ceremonies around that, allowing women to step in from maiden to mother. What ceremony have you done around that? Have you initiated yourself into motherhood? Doesn't mean having a baby, just means holding the mother energy. They're able to do stuff, hold their own, create and support and hold the family space or a space. And if you have done that, then in your mother and your transition into maiden, are you aware of the transition of mother to maiden and what that looks like and what it asks of you? And that it is an absolute amazing celebration of your passage, of being mother, of getting through all of that time in your life and stepping into so much wisdom and power because you've learned all the lessons, because you actually don't give a shit anymore, and because you realize that you're actually a really frigging force of nature on this planet. There's nothing like the crone on this planet. There's nothing like the woman that's moving through the transition. Even myself in that MAGA stage, I am seeing the word MAGA used for other means in America. We've seen it, and it's so triggering. The word Isis, which was one of the most powerful feminine mythological women that we've got, mythological women that we've got. She was given as the name as a terrorist group, and now we've got the MAGA, which is the woman before her crondom, being made out to be this awful collective in America, and it just needs to stop. And so we as women have to take back this power. Where are these cycles, these ancient ceremonies of transition through maidenhood, motherhood, MAGA, Crohn's, and there's Menarche, there's other ones as well. And are we disconnecting from mother? Are we trying to reconnect? Where is that detrimental? And what works there to do there? That's important. What work have I got to do in healing myself? I thought I needed my mother to heal the rift between us, but I have to heal that within myself. Unless my mother's doing some healing work of her own, there's always going to be that bridge that doesn't quite meet on one side. So I take responsibility for that myself, see the ways in which that's affected me, and to make sure that I don't relive those patterns, and I don't then recycle the patterns onto my child or to other people, and that doesn't affect my relationship to women, and if it does, how. So I hope that helps in regards to really taking these very, very, very powerful transitions as women and healing the wounds from that original wounds of mother and father and childhood that are showing themselves right now in our lives, in our relationship, and the way we are behaving or managing our lives. So I hope that's helpful too. So until next time, bye for now.